بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's happening? Arrow, the Asiatic. What's happening? Peace. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Put that in the chat, man. That's always the first order of business. Make sure that we Gucci. Yeah. Let me get that logo off of there. Come here, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, let me know if y'all can hear me though in the chat, please. Let me know when we get this party started. Sounds good. Appreciate you balancing all things. That's what's up. Go ding them into your tone ping pong dow. Heavily balanced. Peace, everybody. What's happening, man? Thank you for tapping in, man. Normally we do the khutbah or 12:30. But I had daddy-daughter duties. Little girl had to go up to the college today. Little girl growing up on me, man. So I had to take my daughter up to college to make sure everything was in order, whatever she did, right? So I said, yeah, that's a core memory. Let me be a part of that. So let me push my cookbook back so I can be a part of that. But yeah, let's get started. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu ala Fatimid sallallahu ala Ali sallallahu ala al-Bayt. Man, the Quran, I must say, is, man, the history of the Quran, Islam, in the lens, of course, in which I see it, I promise you, is poetry. Beautiful poetry, So much so, there's an actual surah in the Quran that's called the Poets. I believe that's surah 26, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually a healing verse in there that rhymes too. You know what I mean? So really kind of familiarize yourself with that. It's you want to talk about words of power, you can hear it, you can feel it. And I've always been intrigued about that particular set of verses. Like, why are you rhyming about healing? About, you know, it's God who it is He who creates you and gives you life. He who gives you food and gives you drink. It is He who makes you sick. It is He who cures you, right? All of these things is rhyming. And I say, oh, that's really beautiful. So anyway, yeah, we are in for I believe, a great treat. Do me a favor, please click the like button. All right, the feminine secrets of Allah, the ant, the bee, the bird, the cow, the elephant, and the spider writer. Yeah, all of these are surahs in the Quran. All of them. Okay, all of them. All of them. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so let's talk about the ant first. Okay, let's talk about the ant. And it all started for me a couple days ago. I'm at the house and there is a big black ant not too far from my foot. So I'm looking at the ant, and I'm very familiar with, there's a verse in the Quran deals with the ant. So I'm looking at the ant. And then the ant's coming close to my left foot. So I decide to move my left foot over, and it comes back to my left foot, and I move it out totally out the way. Then it goes to like my right foot. And I'm like, yo, what's wrong with this ant? Is it infatuated with my feet or something? You know, and then, last I checked, I don't have stinky feet. So I'm like, what's going on? Right. And so the ant is like seeking refuge under my foot. So I am eating a piece of cake. Okay. That I forget where I got the cake from. But when you go to the restaurant, and they give you the little plastic little container thing, it folds on top, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't finish eating the cake, and obviously I got residue cream inside of the little container. So there's certain animals I don't kill. Maybe I shouldn't kill all of them, but there's some I'm going to kill: mosquitoes, flies, things like that. But anyway, so I scooped the ant up and put it inside the container, and I'm watching the ant bite into like the icing, and the ant, I think, believes it had found a jackpot. Like, it is like locked in on this thing, but the ant can't get out. So I take the ant outside and let it out. And then I said, well, I know ants leave a chemical trail to tell the other ants, hey, I got some food. But I was kind of curious about, well, what happens if the ant makes it back home but doesn't have a chemical trail for everybody to come get this food? Did I send the ant on a suicide mission, in a sense, right? And so I found out something in the research that, one, ants use the sun, the angle of the sun, and ants can count. They count their steps. I said, get out of here. Really? And so then, as I'm further investigating the ant, I find out that the ant doesn't have, male ants do not have a father. Let's go into Quran real quick, okay? Because that blew my mind. So in the Quran, Surah 27, it says, until they came upon the valley of ants, and ant said, this is what an ant said: "O ants, enter your dwellings, that you may not be crushed by Solomon and his soldiers, while they perceive not." In other words, take shelter. Solomon and them don't know that we're down here and they're going to crush us. So Solomon smiled, amused at her speech. I stop right there. Amused at her speech. So the ant, I know absolutely, we know the ant has a queen, right? The ant has a queen. In fact, when we come here and we look at this, and this is the beautiful thing about another dimension to the Arabic, right? When they was in the valley of the ants, and the ant talked, said the ant, said is third person feminine. The ant that's doing the talking, you see it, is feminine. Okay? So the Quran is saying it's a feminine ant that's talking. Solomon said he smiled at her. So then when you look at the structure of an ant colony, we know there's a queen. All of the ants are women. So every time you see an ant colony or ants moving about, that's a woman. The males, drones, are only good for mating, and after mating, bye-bye. You're out of here. Okay? You're only good for your ant sperm, and you're out of here. You have nothing to do with the colony. Out you must go. Okay? Find your own queen, get out of here, populate some, and you're out. So the ant does, so here's a kicker. So the male ant has to get out, look for a queen to come by. Hey, babe, what's up? You know, I want to hook up with you. Boom, boom, boom. And then he's out of there. Okay. Doesn't have a colony. He's going to die shortly thereafter and whatnot. So, but male ants do not have a father. They got a mama, of course, but they don't have a father. I said, well, how is that so? Because, and this goes for bees, because bees and ants are cousins. They got a common ancestor, wallahi. So the unfertilized egg becomes the male in the ant and bee kingdom. The fertilized egg from the daddy sperm becomes the women. So all the women got a daddy. The male ant ain't got no daddy, which means he don't have a granddad from his dad's side because he don't got no dad, but he has a granddad from his mama because the mama got a daddy. So it's known as the granddad paradox. I swear to you, you can look this up. Okay. So male ants in the colony is a no-no. Now, the colony we know is highly structured, highly structured, highly organized. That's not a male. They have nothing to do with that. That is all women. Quran knows it's women. Okay. So then we asked a question. Almost all the ants you see marching, foraging, and working are what? Females. There's thorough wingless female workers. The colony queen is also female, while male ant drones exist to mate, typically have wings and die shortly after mating. Give me the sperm, die, ant, die. Get out of here. Okay? All right, let's move on. Okay? So, do male ants have fathers? No, they develop from unfertilized eggs laid by the queen. And it's a process. I don't want to mess it up, but it's a process that they call it. Because they receive only the mother genes, they are haploid. Whereas female ants are fertilized and have 2 genome copies. Okay? Consequently, male ants can't have grandfathers, but can have grandfathers, but cannot have sons. Ain't that something? Okay? All right. So when did science understand this? Scientists broadly recognize that ant workers are female in the early 1800s. The early 1800s, ladies and gents. Quran is revealed in 610. So rough general math, we talking what? 1200 years before general science figured out that the ant colony was female. The ant is being referred to as a female in the Quran, in the noun structure of the grammar, and in story. Solomon smiled at her 1200 years before science. Okay. See, when we see science must, it's not the other way around. Science must conform to the spiritual book. The spiritual book don't have to conform to science. Science have to conform to the spiritual book, because if, only if, and I mean only if there is a God, a word of God, then there's certain things that science should validate, because science is just really the study of God. They don't know that though. Okay. But that's what it really is. All right. Okay. So now the ant and the bee, they're cousins. They literally come from a common ancestor. They're cousins. Okay. So are bees and ants closely related? Yes, they belong to the insect order. And that's a feminine term to a degree, hymen, right? Hymenoptera, and are considered cousins within the stinging wasp lineage. Okay, so they're cousins. A beehive is overwhelmingly female. Approximately 95 to 99% of the bees in the colony are female, consisting of one queen and thousands of worker bees that manage all hive operation. Male bees, called drones, like how the ants are, make up only a small portion of the hive and are produced primarily during summer to mate. Okay. The bee in Quran, it said comes forth from their bellies, talking about a healing substance. And it is what? Feminine, singular, possessive noun. So bellies in its plural is feminine. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, please. Bellies is plural, meaning more than one. Feminine. When you get to the female, she has two stomachs. A regular stomach that digests, and then something known as a honey stomach. Male bees don't have a honey stomach. Honey does not come from male bees. Okay? Quran knows this. Okay? So when did they detail this? They did this dealing with the bees in 1927, and then further studies went into the 50s and the 80s. We're talking 1,300 years now. 1,300 years, the Quran is ahead of science with the bee. 1,200 on the ant, 1,300 with the bee. That's Quran. Okay? That's Quran. Before I get to the bird, I'll leave it here though. Before I get to the bird, let me say something about the bee too. The bee, the females, when the queen dies, you know what they do? They make another queen. How do you make a queen bee? The nurse bees, which are female worker bees, and then after about a week, they graduate to a different job responsibility. Some bees clean the hives off rip. And then as they get a little older within the week, then they move up to another responsibility and then another responsibility, where there's nursing bees that take care of the little larva. Okay. The female bee has something in her head. I should have put that slide in here, that she produces. What's the name of it? It's slipping me. But she produces a different fluid. And this fluid, I forget what it's called, but this fluid has obviously more nutrients inside of it that makes the bee into a queen, bigger and everything. What makes the queen bee? Okay. So literally you can look this up. Okay. What is it called? Man, somebody look it up real fast. I'm going to look up on another window real fast. What is it's a nectar or something. What is the nectar that nurse bees make to make a queen bee? Okay. Royal jelly. That's what it's called. How could I forget that? It's called royal jelly. I don't think y'all ready for this jelly. Royal jelly. Wallahi, royal jelly. So the regular bees get the regular stuff, but when it's time to make a queen, the females got something in their head that they can produce that's only preserved for a queen, that they feed this queen. Wallahi, royal jelly. Thank you. It's in the chat. Royal jelly. I ain't lying. Okay. So now we move to this bird. Hudhud in Arabic. In English is hopo. Hopo. Beautiful bird. Beautiful bird. Okay. Male birds are the ones that are usually more colorful to attract the females. Okay. Now, inside of Surah 27, which is the ant, the story continues. See, the ant was like 27:18, 27:19. Now the story continues to go to a bird. And he took attendant Solomon of the birds and said, why do I not see Hopo? Or is he among the absent? Okay. Hopo said, indeed, I found there was a woman ruling them, and she has been given all things, and she has a great throne. So Hopo is missing, but Hopo shows up because Solomon then gonna make a threat. Man, if Hopo ain't here, I'm gonna kill him. Then he's like, yo, I've been somewhere that you ain't seen. Now Hopo is about to tell Solomon what he's seen. Okay, so go to the bottom verse. I found her and her people prostrating to the sun instead of Allah. And Satan made their deeds pleasing to them and averted them from his way, so they are not guided. Okay. Now, if you know the story of Suleiman and Sheba, shout out to my Rastafarian brothers. They said, listen, man, King Solomon, we know, was a black man, and Sheba was a black queen, and they actually got a son, Menelik. And that's how the Rastafarians say they trace their lineage that comes through that. Okay. So Solomon and Sheba has a very interesting, history. Bare minimum. Okay. Bare minimum. All right. So now let's get into this. Okay. When Solomon smiled at her speech, remember that? Talking about the ant. Because remember, this is a couple verses later about the bird. Solomon says, my Lord, enable me to be grateful for your favor, which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents. I said, oh, got it. Because see, remember the story of Suleiman and Sheba. It dawned on me. I said, no, this is talking about genetics. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to me. The story about the ant and the bee is 100% talking about genetics. Okay. Now we know historically, again, Solomon and Sheba, they got this thing. Okay. When we read the text, right? When we read the text again, Solomon smiled, amused at her speech, right? And said, my Lord, enable me to be grateful for your favor, which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents. This is DNA. Okay. So then I had a question. Because what we see with the ant and the bee is a woman society. So a woman society in nature, with these two, is producing, I have to say it, the most beautiful harmony that we can really observe within nature, as far as teamwork goes. Right? There's no, hear me closely, not from my knowledge and my search. See, as a kid, I used to watch animal channels. That used to fascinate me. Wildlife used to come on. I watch it. Animal psychology is God psychology to me. But anyway, there's no male structure as a male community in nature amongst animals, insects, a clique of males that creates a functioning society for their species. You have men who protect the border, lions. You have lion brothers who are, protecting the tribe, and they may share in sexual things with the women. So they, you got that, male chimpanzees, but it's not an all male dominated society. You usually have an alpha male that's there to protect. And mainly because he, rightfully so because of genetics, but he, back in the day, we used to call it cock blocking. He don't want another male to come in and get some. So, he is not an all male society though. So there's nothing in nature. The male penguin, emperor penguin, cool. Oh, girl, drop her egg. She give it to him. He sits on the egg into a hatch. He like, yeah, go ahead, go eat, baby. I'm a little bit tougher than you, whatever. I'm bigger than you, so go ahead. I'll sit on the egg. But he don't go to every egg. He only go to his girl's egg, as he should. That's not a male society. Male dolphins team up and they form strategies of hunting and stuff. But again, it's not a male society. There is nothing in nature that has a male society besides humans. Okay. And I'm not saying this is bad. All I'm just saying is I'm going to prove, in essence, Allah through Qur'an is showing us his beautiful diversity. Don't leave women out. I'll prove it. Okay. I'll prove it. All right. So, all right, let's move on. So this is Solomon. This is Sheba. She said, indeed, kings, when they enter a city, they ruin it. And because when I'm looking at this and I'm saying, are you telling me what I think you're saying? Like, are you really saying what I think you're saying? That women do a great job, and B, and men do a horrible job? Or is that what you're saying? Are you possibly saying that? So as I continue to read, I promise you, you can look at the scripture itself. It's in Surah 27. We never left the ant, ladies and gentlemen. We went to the ant, then the conversation jumped to the bird. Now we're going to Sheba. She said, indeed, kings, when they enter a city, they ruin it. And I said, oh my God, it's right here in my face. So Quran is pointing our attention to all this macho patriarchal thing. No. It needs to be some diversity. Oh, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to show you something that I just found out recently. See, I'm not sitting on this stuff from years. If I am, I tell you, I researched this years ago and I've been sitting on this and now it's time to bring it out. No. Last week, I didn't even know it was going to be here. All this started because an ant was on my foot a couple days ago. And I said, okay, what's going on? All right. Anyway. So when we look at a bird, for example, in birds, females determine the sex of offspring. Did y'all know that? So remember, it's Hopo. Solomon's looking for the bird. But it's the female bird that determines if you're going to be male or if you're going to be female. Totally opposite for mammals. Okay? So I knew that about birds. Okay? All right. Now let's move to the spider. Y'all remember Charlotte's Web? See, as a kid, I guess I'm revealing my age. I'm gonna find this and watch it. All right. This was my joint as a kid right here. Charlotte's Web. Charlotte was this grandmother. And by the way, Charlotte, North Carolina is known as Charlotte of Mecklenburg, which is Charlotte, North Carolina is also Mecklenburg County. Charlotte of Mecklenburg was considered to be a black royal woman within the European aristocrat type of vibe, king, queen type of vibe. Charlotte of Mecklenburg. So anyway, Charlotte's Web, Charlotte was this old grandmother vibe type of spider. Okay. Was a woman. Okay. Well, here's a fun fact. The webs that you see are created by females. While both male and female spiders produce silk from spinnet glands or spinneret glands, adult females are the primary web builders, and they need to hunt, grow, and protect their eggs. Adult males, however, usually stop building webs to focus on finding mates. And then afterwards, after the male mates, what happens to him? He dies. In some cases, like a black widow, he gets devoured by the woman so she can have his nutrients to make sure that these spider babies live. He only lives to die inside of paradise, okay? Known as the vagina, okay? Paradise, all right? Okay, so the spider webs that we see 9 times out of 10 are female, okay? So the spider webs is female, the ants that you see. And to me, this kind of almost like I don't kill spider. I never did. I don't kill spiders. I don't kill ants. I don't kill bees. I trap bees and I let them out, right? Especially if you understand growing food and pollination, why bees are very important, right? Because I just found out the other day I was gonna put an apple tree back here next to the peach tree, and then it said, hey, it's semi self pollinate self. It can semi self pollinate, but it needs other apple trees around so bees can go in these apple trees. And by the time the bee come into your tree, it helps the bee grow. It helps your tree grow. I said, get out of here. Is my peach tree like that? No, the peach tree is self pollinating. It's good. It don't need to be. I said, okay, cool. Even though I saw bees there, but I said, cool. So anyway, yeah, this stuff that stuff is interesting to me. All right. So spiders that we see, the webs that we see, 9 times out of 10 female. So the spider, the bee, the ants, you see these things in the house. Hey, these are women putting in work. Okay, let them be. Now it to me, for me, it applies another layer of mercy has been added, right? All right, because I ain't gonna say I never sprayed the border or something, but anyway. So do spiders die after mating? Yes, many male spiders die after mating, either through direct sexual cannibalism, told you, by the female, or by programmed spontaneous death immediately after copulation, such as in dark fishing spiders or orb weaving spiders. This extreme sacrifice is a mating strategy that can ensure the male sperm fertilizes the eggs and provide nutrients to the female. Okay. All right. Let's move over to the cow. Okay. The cow, indeed. And this is in Surah 16. Surah 16 is the Surah of the bee. And it's funny because now, see, this is what I'm saying about the Quran. And pay attention. Pay attention. In Surah 27, we get that surah is called the ant. But in that surah, we get a conversation about a bird. Okay. Now we move to the bee, Surah 16, and we're going to get a conversation about the cow. You see? So, man, Allah is beautiful. Okay. Quran is the dopest. And indeed, for you in grazing livestock is a lesson. I promise you, if we go back to the ant, we go back to the bee, it's going to tell you about how these are lessons. We give you drink from what is in their bellies between excretion and blood, pure milk, palatable to drinkers. Okay? So that's really plain and obvious. We know that. So there's nothing to get into because we know that. Okay? The elephant. That's a surah. The elephant. But did you know this? A herd of elephants, ladies and gentlemen, are all women unless they got young sons. And when the sons come of a certain age, the bulls get out. So the herd of elephants are women too. And we know that in the elephant herd is something known as the head matriarch. She remembers the water holes. She remembers everything. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I got a call coming in. She remembers the migration route. She remembers all this stuff. Okay. So you can look into this. Are elephant herds female? Yes, they are. You don't see the men until it's time to mate. The man, go ahead. Yeah, you got a baby. And then she said, you got to go. Get out. And he gone. Okay. But I find something interesting because I know in history, in the year of it's something called the year of the elephant. Okay. It happened in 570, 571. It's also the year that the Prophet Islam was born. It refers to the failed invasion of Mecca by Abraha, the Christian ruler of Yemen, who utilized war elephants to attack the Kaaba. The army was destroyed by divine intervention via birds, as described in Surah Al-Fil, which is the elephant. So long story short, the legend from the Islamic side of the ledger says, hey, listen, there was a Christian king that was coming in the year that the Prophet was born, 570. and he was going to attack the Kaaba. And these birds had clay in their mouth, and they started dropping this clay on the elephants and defeated these soldiers from the birds. That's the legend. Okay. So I just find it ironic again, elephant, year of the prophet, but the elephant society is a matriarchal society. It's a female society. It's not a masculine society. Okay. And this is important. And this is why I say I know that we're on to something here. Okay. The Prophet, salam, ladies and gentlemen, had 7 children. Please note that all of his daughters, those are the ages that they died. They lived to be grown women. His 3 sons, Qasim and Abdullah by Mother Khadijah, died as infants. And Ibrahim, who was a son from Mary the Egyptian, Mary the Cop. They said she was a Christian Egyptian slave woman. Okay. He married her and impregnated her, and she gave birth to his youngest son, the last son, Ibrahim, lived for some time, about 1.5 years, and then he died. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves, and this is serious, because if it's nothing but Allah in the world, and Allah is the author of all things, why are you taking the prophet's sons? Why do you only want him to have daughters? That's interesting. Okay. So they all married, of course. Zainab married, Ruqayya married Uthman. She died, and then married Kulthum. She married Uthman after her sister died. Ruqayya died. And then we know Fatima married Ali. All of them died besides Fatima. His 3 daughters died before he died. So his only surviving heir is Fatima. So I'm going to say it. Allah did not see it fit for the Rasulullah, the messenger of Allah, to have a son. He saw it fit for him to have daughters. He saw it fit for the only surviving heir to be a daughter. This totally changes the game. Totally. Because previously in the Judaic order, we have the lineage passes through the father. So the father and the son. Beautiful. That's the law. But when is it going to also be balanced? It's not about what's better. It's not about this is wrong and this is right. It's about balance, right? We got to deal with this. We got to deal with this. Fatima is the only heir. Okay. All right. So now when we get to the origins of Islam, which I've said before, yes, Egyptian mitochondrial DNA is the Islamic ancestral origins, the maternal origins of Islam. That's a fact. Because it all starts with who? Hagar. And Hagar had a son named who? Ismail. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of where? Egypt. So that means Hagar, yes, who is who? The wife of Abraham, the father of many nations. This is his first time having a child. Sarah said, hey, I'm old. I can't have kids. Take my handmaiden. I said, all right, cool. Come on, Hagar. Come on, baby. Bring your Egyptian fine black ass on over here. Excuse me. Did I say that? Bring yourself on over here. Cool. Boom, 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 boom. She gets pregnant, have a son. Then Sarah is like, hey, man, she thinks she the ish now. She looking at me kind of funny. She got to go. Her and her baby got to get up out of here. Right? So Abraham struggles with this. So then the angel of the Lord appears. This is what the Bible says. The angel of the Lord appears, say, listen, man, listen. I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to make him prince of many nations, and 12 princes are going to come from him. Ishmael, which is now will be known as the founding prophet of the Muslims of Islam. And this is very interesting because I got to get with. I want to ask a general question to the Hebrew Israelites, right? The 12 tribes come from Jacob. Jacob's daddy is Isaac. Isaac comes from Abraham and Sarah. Remember, Sarah said, I can't have no baby, but then she finally get blessed with a baby and have Jacob. But Hagar and Ishmael is a generation before that. You understand that? So the Muslims, in being this covenant, God said, I'm going to make them a great nation. Yes? That's before the Israelites even came into existence. The Muslims were given this blessing from God to say, I'm going to make them a great nation. Right? Anyway. So she's Egyptian, the mother, Hagar. Ishmael is half Egyptian, and the Bible teaches us that she marries him to a woman named Fatima. That comes from the Jewish Midrash, who this woman was. That's not in Bible by name. But the Bible teaches us that Ishmael takes a wife from her father's house, an Egyptian woman. So now this half black man from an Egyptian mother takes on the Egyptian wife. You know what their children are going to look like. And this is why the early Arabs are dark skinned. Okay? All right. Now, I've heard about this, but Spirit gave it to me about an hour before class here to go look it up. And this is a certified, what we call authentic hadith. Bani means tribe or children of. Arfida. So this is what they say. The prophet was in the mosque in Medina, and the Ethiopians were at the mosque dancing with spears. And they said, the prophet said, carry on, O Bani Arfida. Yes? Then they say, so the Jews may know that there's space in our religion. We have flexibility in our religion. We ain't stiff. But he says, carry on, O Bani Arfida. I said, you know what that sounds like to my hood ear? Come on, African. You see the Africans doing their thing with their spear, and you say, carry on, Arfida. He's really saying, come on, African, get it. That's what he's saying. Okay? So the point here in the consensus has been, when it comes to African tribal customs, and I guess this could be really for anybody who embrace Islam, you can have your culture as long as it doesn't contradict Quran. Don't contradict Quran. You're good. You're good. And this is really important. Excuse me. This is important because the ancestral origin of Islam is African. It's Egyptian. It's important because the prophet's family is going to be murdered and suppressed, that they're going to make a decision to impregnate African women so they can give birth to righteous men and women, but righteous men that's going to be the leader that is going to lead Islam into a whole new era. This is important to understand. Okay? I'll show you that. All right. When we look at the root word, when he said, come on, Afrida, come on, African. Rafa, RF, or Rafad rather, RFD. Rafad, it means support, aid, and help. I said, no. We got to go to the hadith from al-Kafi on the Shia side. What do it say in yellow? Where you yellow and red? I mean, yellow and green. You must not buy anyone from Sudan, but if you must buy, then buy from Nubia. Al-Naba is Nubia. They are those about whom Allah most majestic, most glorious has said, of those who have said, we are helpers. Go back to the word that the Prophet Islam said, go ahead, who? Go ahead, helpers. Banu is tribe of helpers, tribe of supporters. Go ahead, Africans. It means to help. We come back, we are helpers. We took a covenant from them. Then they forgot the share of what they are reminded. However, in green, they will remember that share. That's you and I. And they, a group of them, will come out with the rise of al-Qaim with divine authority from us. Again, Qaim means Mahdi. Okay? Then he went in on the Kurds, said the Kurds, all of the Kurds were jinn. I don't know why he said that, but nevertheless, he said it, okay? So Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, the sixth Imam, is saying, don't buy nobody. Don't be buying women from Sudan. But hey, if you do, get a woman from Nubia. In fact, they were told something about helping us. They forgot, but they are going to remember. And then they're going to help us. And then they're going to have authority from us. We're going to vest this authority that we got, this prophetic lineage. Listen, this prophetic lineage that we have, we are going to give it to the black woman. Man, that's powerful. That's powerful. That is powerful. Okay? That's powerful. All right? Somebody want my attention. Yes? Hold on. So look. Saved by grace and thankful. Stay to the end. Be patient. I'll drop a link and you can come up and say what you want to say and we can have a conversation. I live for this. So stay put. Stay put. Okay? All right. All right. Now, here goes some history. There is a queen by the name of Sitt al-Mulk, the power behind the empire. Fatimid Caliphate. Sitt al-Mulk. Look into it. A woman who set as the leader of Islam under the Fatimid Caliphate. A woman in Egypt. Interesting. The same Egypt that is the mother of the Islamic religion, Hagar. Okay? Look into it. Sitt al-Mulk. Now, when we travel down into Yemen, Arwa al-Sulayhi and her husband, they ruled for a very long time together. And when he passed, she ruled for like 50 years. Husband and wife rulers. Look into this. Arwa al-Sulayhi. Okay? Just going to drop some things for you. Go look into it. All right? All right. Now, I wanted to look at a timeline of her and her husband. So, Ahmed al-Mukarram, 1062 to 1084. She comes in 1067 all the way to 1084. And then after him, after he died, 1084 to 1138. You understand this? This is a nice period of time. husband and wife together, little short of 20 years together. Like, what's that? 27 years together. Beautiful. Husband and wife in Islam. Why don't we hear about that? What other goodies do we have? This is the part that's really, really important. Okay? It's really important. You have the Prophet, alayhi salam, at the top. He has a daughter, Fatima. Her and Ali get married. They have a son. Their first son is Hassan, number 2. And their second son is Hussein, number 3. Okay? Hussein's going to have a son, number 4. Ali ibn Hussein. Imam Sajud, the one who's always praying. He's going to have a son, number 5, Muhammad ibn Ali, known as Muhammad Bakr, the splitter of knowledge. He's going to have a son, Jafar al-Sadiq, who we now know is the one who set the precedence of having a black African wife, who said, take a woman from Nubia because the Mahdi is going to come from the African lineage. You just saw that. Now, all his sons and grandchildren from number 7 on to 11, all married a black woman from Africa. There's no debating that. Which means the infamous Mahdi, who went into oculation and hiding, as they say, from the 12er side, his mother, Najis, is a black woman. But Jafar al-Sadiq in the hadith I showed you, shows you this, gives you this instruction. Now I want to pay attention. Let's go all the way to the far left, 750 Abbasids. The Abbasids, which are the enemies to the Prophet, right? The enemies to the Prophet. Bona fide enemies. Okay? Then you have a caliph by the name of Caliph Mansur, who is an enemy to the Prophet and the Prophet's family. So much so, I am going to say, what a coincidence that a year after his being in power, Caliph Mansur, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq's oldest son, Ismail, allegedly dies. But it's reported in some stories that he's seen in another city, I'm going to say, faked his death because Caliph Mansur was on the Prophet's or Jafar al-Sadiq's back. Who is your successor? So you got to understand the Islamic history and understand that the enemies of Allah, as the Quran points out in Surah 9, the enemies of Allah, the enemies of the Rasulullah, enemies of his family. This was some serious political heat. We're going to poison your father. We're going to behead your great-great-grandfather. We're going to poison this one too. And everybody up under you, 7 through 11, we're going to poison them too. So yeah, we want to know who is in charge after you. And usually it goes where? To the oldest son. Okay, let's come back. Everything is everything. I promise you. Is that everything is everything? I don't know. Who is that? Who is that? Or saved, or just saved by grace? Who is it? I don't know. I'll come back. So Ismail has a son named Muhammad ibn Ismail. Muhammad, son of Ishmael, in the red box at the top. Now, when Imam Jafar al-Sadiq dies in 765, remember his oldest son Ishmael had passed, so-called passed 10 years prior. I'm telling you, faked his death. Now, his son Muhammad ibn Ishmael disappears. Totally disappears, got ghosts. And everybody under him in the red box, you will not see them again until 144 years later. And when they pop up on the scene 144 years later, they're known as the Fatimid Caliphate. Now, this is very, very important because you got to look at the spirit of Allah when you see this. The Shia who followed the instructions of the Prophet said, no, Ali is the one we're supposed to follow. They're the ones that's getting persecuted. They're the family members that's getting persecuted, the followers that's getting persecuted, killed and everything, right? They never run as a caliphate, meaning they got political authority. They got spiritual authority in their masjid and in their house, but you ain't got no political power. The Shia never have political power as an empire until the Fatimid dynasty come, when they name themselves after Fatima. Look at Allah. So now when we understand this, they run Northwest Africa, Northeast as well. They would end up making Cairo their headquarters, their home. And the circle in red is the Empire of Morocco. And then you still had more Spain from the previous rulers and enemies of the Prophet, the Umayyads, who we know the Umayyad clan was flat out enemies. Muawiyah, Yazid, all of them was enemies to the Prophet. They broke off from the Umayyads. The Umayyads of Spain broke off from the Umayyads in the east. So when they fell from the Abbasids came and mollywopped and kicked the Umayyads behind. But the Abbasids to the right still got Baghdad because that is their headquarters. Bombs over Baghdad. Yes. So the Fatimids is in the middle. But my point here is they're the only Shia empire, to have a caliphate. Why? Why would Allah do that? Back up again. You don't see these guys until 144 years. They went underground, hiding their identity, hiding their teachings. In 144 years, that's some planning. That's planning, right? Let's move on. Let's read up on the Fatimid dynasty and their education policies. The Fatimids, who established their own Ismaili Shia caliphate in rivalry with the Sunni Abbasids, were renowned for their tolerance toward other religious communities, permitting meritorious non-Ismaili Muslims and even non-Muslims to occupy the position of vizier and other high offices in their state. As part of their general concern with education, the Fatimids also adopted unprecedented policies for the education of women. There we go. From early on in the reign of founder of the dynasty Abdullah al-Mahdi, the Fatimids organized popular instruction for women. And from the time of al-Muiz, who transferred the seat of the Fatimid state to Egypt and founded the city of Cairo, more formal instruction was developed for women, culminating in the Majalis al-Hikmah, which is sessions of wisdom, meaning the women would come together and have dialogue, man, about philosophy, all kinds of stuff. Okay. And let me see, is it? Do I need to read anymore? I'll keep reading. All right. So they used to come together for sessions on wisdom on Ismaili doctrines. Okay. Al-Makrizi, quoting who is that? Musa Abihi, I don't want to mess that up, and other contemporary Fatimid chroniclers have preserved valuable details on these lectures. We need to be taking notes of this, especially women. We need to screenshot these sources because I'm going to show towards the end, I am highly intrigued about this. And we need to actually have a library full of Islamic women scholars and leaders. Okay. So these lectures, which were delivered regularly on a weekly basis under the direction of the Fatimid chief, Daya, and administrative head of the Fatimid Ismaili Dawa organization. The entire program was also closely scrutinized by the Fatimid Caliph Iman and the spiritual head of the Dawa. These sessions, organized separately for women and men, were arranged in terms of systematic courses on different subjects and according to the participants' degree of learning. Large numbers of women and men were instructed in various locations. For women, there were sessions at the mosque of al-Azhar. Yes? Azhar, rather, which is a beautiful masjid in Egypt, while the Fatimids and the other noble women received their lectures in a special hall at the Fatimid Palace. Okay? Now, here go one of the rulers by the name of al-Mustansir Billah. His mother was famously what? A black African Sudanese woman, according to several medieval sources. She became highly influential politically, sometimes referred to in sources as a Sudanese concubine or slave origin royal mother. During Mustasir's reign, Sudanese military factions became extremely powerful in Cairo. Okay? So from 1036 to 1094, what we talking about there? 2 years short of 30. Yes. So 28. So 28 years he rocking out. What do they say about his mother? Women in the Fatimid dynasty, read the highlight. There was also al-Mutansir's mother, who, although not brought up in Egypt, did become a powerful regent during the first decade of her son's caliphate, and subsequently in 1044, all political power was openly seized and retained by her for a long period. So, ladies and gentlemen, this Nubian woman from the Sudan ran the caliphate because her son was actually too young when he became elected for that. You got it? All right. All right. All right. So let's read up on her again. Rasad is her name. Was a Nubian slave concubine who became a powerful queen mother of the Fatimid Caliphate of al-Mustansir Billah, acting as a virtual regent of Egypt during the early years of his reign. She managed the state's administration, treasury, and court patronage between 1044 and 1071. She was a black slave concubine from Nubia. When al-Mutansir ascended to the throne at age 7 in 1036, Rasad took control of the administration as her son was too young to rule, marking a period of significant influence. Can I keep going? She runs this from 1044 to 1071, ladies and gents. A black woman. Okay? In Islamic history. So don't say Islam ain't for the woman, because you know what the Bible says, and I'm not down in the Bible, I'm just letting you know. I do not permit a woman to teach or assume authority over a man. She must shut up. That's what it say. It's a polite way of saying shut up. The Bible in Timothy tells women don't teach. Women can't be in position over men, and y'all need to go sit down somewhere and shut up. That's what the Bible say, okay? All right, I'm not saying the Bible don't honor women, but I'm just saying it amazes me how it's like Islam, women don't have no props. Women don't have no love. You know, women is subjugated and all this stuff and whatnot, but it's just totally not true. You know what I mean? Let's move on. All right. Now, I'm going to show you some proof. I'm going to come to the conclusion of this. All right. I'm going to show you some proof of something real quick. Show you the beautiful signs of Allah, how Allah works in our world over here. Okay. Proof of God book. All right. So I email on May the 5th, had to be Sunday night after fast. or was that Tuesday? Tuesday after class, at 10:29 p.m. And I meant to say, understanding who and what the true Iman is and embodies is the theme of this book by sharing the teaching of the Prophet's family. Page 14 reads, Iman is a sacred title because he is the proof of God. This applies to the woman as well, hence the female saints. On another note, I will quote page 159 where Imam Muhammad Bakr, peace be upon him, who was Fatimid and Ali's, peace be upon them, grandson, says, those who acknowledge their, meaning Abu Bakr, Umar, etc., are not true followers of Muhammad's religion, but rather inadvertent supporters of the satanic path. I think we may have one here. Can't wait to open up this mic and see. I've never highlighted a book so much, but perhaps for me, I was ready for this truth, and inshallah, you will be. And I dropped an Amazon link. Pay attention. This is May 5th. I'm time stamping. May 5th, 2026 at 10:29 at night. So at 10:30, I send this out. And I want you to get the Proof of God book, right? And here it is on Amazon right here. The Proof of God book. Okay. Because I believe this, I think Black America, when it comes to Islam, we should have got like this version of Islam first before we got the enemy's version of Islam. Okay. All right. So we can go back. Let me see. All right. So this book is published by the Ismaili Institute. Okay. It's called the Ismaili Institute. Okay. Or the Institute of Ismaili Studies. All right. The leader of the Ismaili Shias, who, by the way, is the Fatimid dynasty. Okay. The leader name is called the Aga Khan. It was a honorific title that was given to him. Okay. Known as Aga Khan. Okay. All right. Well, you know what happens in my world the very next day as I'm going down the road? A license plate's jump in front of me. A Khan. Aga Khan. Wednesday, and I said, nope, I'm going to go to my details on my camera so you can know that Wednesday, May 6th, 2026 at 11:09 a.m. And don't let me pull up the sky and show you what the message is, but I'm not going to do it today. Here it is. The Aga Khan is right here in front of me. See, that's how I know. See, the Quran is full of, and I'll show you signs. Show you signs. I'll show you signs and show you signs, right? So I know the path that I'm locked in on, right? So anyway, that comes. So I'll give you an example. Shout out to De Niro, right? So De Niro at the very top, he says, what's good, Noble? This was Sunday, I believe. Or was May 5th? Maybe this a couple of days ago. What's good, Noble? Hey, Hassan showed up today. Check out the attachment. The driver who picks him up for Uber is Hassan, which is the first child of Ali and Fatima. Yes. Then on May the 7th, Hussein is on the way. Second one this week. So for me and De Niro, right, and probably others in class, what did I say in class? I said, listen, you're going to start to see signs in random people walk up to you or license plates be in front of you or something. You're going to see the signs when you do the specific work and you start specifically working within the family in the lineage of the prophet. Yes. So he gets Hassan and Hussein. I get Aga Khan. Okay. All right. Let's keep moving. Let me show you some extras for this book. You ready? All right. Imam is a sacred title because he is the proof of God. Okay. What are they saying here? What they're saying here is simple. Imam is not a title that everybody gets just because you lead the prayer in the masjid. Imam is actually the proof of God. Imam is really the equivalent of what you would call a minor prophet. Yes? When you understand Bible and you understand pairs, Moses, Aaron, Aaron was in charge of the priesthood. His lineage was the priesthood. Aaron was more like the imam, and Moses was the prophet. Okay. Jesus, John the Baptist, Elijah, really Elijah, Elisha. Yes. It's this dual team that's coming. Okay. All right. So that's one excerpt from the book. Another one is the Iman precisely include making known the spirit of the book. It's esoteric level that reveals the secret of the origin, known as Tawil, and therefore its true purpose. This unveiling is not addressed to everyone, but only to a minority of the initiates. To those are the spiritual elite of the community. Ooh. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, you would have some people who would just they're just ignorant. They're on the surface, on what the Quran will call zahir, the outer manifest. That's beautiful. But they don't understand the inner essence of Quran, in which Quran tells us that, hey, only those of understanding will know, or Allah raise in degrees whom he wills. Yes? So it's a whole nother, so this is the thing. There was a teaching. If you look at the history of Islam, and you can clearly see it now, on the left, the enemies was in political rule and authority after the Prophet Islam's death. And on the right is his family, later known as Shia. Wouldn't you rather know their viewpoint of Quran? I would rather know their viewpoint of Quran. I don't want the enemy's viewpoint of Quran. Surah 9 makes it clear. They will raise masjids. They will raise up mosque that will create separation. And I said, wow, this is a prophecy, because in the time of the Prophet, guess what? The enemies didn't have no masjid. They didn't have no mosque until after his death. So that's a prophecy that covers you and I. Okay? All right, let's keep moving. All right. Nice highlight. The Imam is also the messenger of the esoteric dimension of revelation. He initiates the spiritual religion hidden under the letter and referred to technically as Iman, which literally means faith. The people of the faith, the faithful believers, the mu'mins, are therefore, in this technical vocabulary, those who have been initiated into the secrets of the religion. Excuse me, highlight at the bottom. The very core of this teaching is the unveiling of the divine mysteries of the universe and of the human being. In Shia vocabulary, this refers to the mysteries of the Imam. It is the Imam who is the human being who manifests in creation, the revealed aspect of God. This being the greatest secrets of all religions. The historical terrestrial Imams are thus the possessors and transmitters of the secret of content, of the secret, the content of which is precisely the metaphysical Imam. So when you get the feminine secrets of Allah that is telling us about the bee, the ant, I showed you mitochondria in Quran. Mitochondria ain't said as a word, but it's in Quran. Yes, I showed you this. And with Allah is who? The mother of the book. Well, I'll just leave it right there. Everybody know that. That's an obvious surah. The feminine secrets of Allah. And with Allah is the mother of the book. They put it back to its origin point. Its origin point is Hagar, Egyptian woman. Again, the Prophet's family said, we got to go over here because they're going to help us. Black woman, you're responsible to help the Prophet's family. Woo. Black man, if you with that black woman, that's on that time, you're responsible. All right. So I can't wait to develop a Golden Heart Women in Islam study guide. I can't wait. That's what my passion is. I saw some other things, but this is what the passion is. Who are these beautiful women in the culture of Islam that was putting in work? because there's a ton of them. As you just saw, we saw leaders ruling, some with their husband, some in place of their son because their son was too young. Nubian black. That's not talked about. Right? It's not talked about. Okay. And last but not least, of course, you can get me at the Golden Heart Love Center. Gonna have a conversation called Sufis in the Garden. You can get to the website goldenheartlovecenter.com and salute, and thank you so much for everyone who donated via Cash App. The Cash App is Golden Heart Love Center CTR. You'll see a gold heart pop up. 100% of Cash App goes to the renovation. Right now, we farming, so crops in. Want to get more fruit trees and everything, but everything goes to the Golden Heart Love Center, and you can learn more about it by going to the website goldenheartlovecenter.com. Yes, goldenheartlovecenter.com. If you donated before, please go ahead and make another donation in the month of May, as we just got this month started, and you already know the Cash App, Golden Heart Love CTR. Okay. You can also, when you go to the website, if you want to get to the courses, take your time, go through the website. You can get to the courses and all that good stuff. Okay. Now, since I'm getting in a little old here, where's my person in the chat? Who that? What was their name? Who was that? Who is that? I'm gonna have good a dab today. So who was that? Was it Saved by Grace? Who that? I want the detractor. Mic up. Come on. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick because I'm old, and I'll be right back. Okay. So while we do that, I will play a beautiful surah for you, and I'll play Adiyat, and I'll be right back. All right.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
Come on, man. Where my guess at? I don't got no guess. It was who? It was Saved by Grace. Come on, where you at? Saved by Grace? Saved by Grace. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hit that link that I just put right there. Copy, paste, do something. Reg, what up? What's going on? Do something. Come on. We can get into the part 3 of this. Because I believe you was what I'm from the hip-hop era, right? So I'm from America. I don't know where you from, right? I don't know where you from. I'm gonna have good a dab tonight. But come on, man. Come on, pop that. Come on, hit that link. Come pop it. You ain't gotta have Twitter thumbs. Come, mic up. You ain't even gotta show your face. Mic up. You got a question? You got a comment? Come on. Trust me, I have dreams about going into masjids. I want to go so bad, but the Qur'an tell me don't step foot in them. So I obey. All right. Oh, come on. You can remain anonymous. It's a safe space. You got a safe space, man. No, seriously though. I welcome the dialogue. I wish that society was what I considered the golden age of Islam, where you can walk into a university outside and you see a circle over there talking about this, a circle over here talking about this, and you can just free flow from circles and just have conversations. And you can say, well, I don't understand that. You know what? I actually disagree with that because of XYZ. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I disagree with Ramadan. Everybody know it. I disagree with Ramadan, right? So Ramadan didn't come about, this current calendar that y'all have, because I don't have that calendar, comes about 7 years after the Prophet, Islam. So it's like, hold on. Either all of this jumping around and Ramadan coming 11 days earlier every year is correct and the Prophet was wrong, or the Prophet is correct and we are current, or y'all are currently wrong. One of the two. Because both can't be right at the same time. Unless unless this Ramadan over here, this Hijri calendar Ramadan, every so often it will align up to the original place where it was, and they both will be right at the same time, mathematically speaking. But in essence, they both can't be right. You're gonna have to talk about that, because the Prophet in his farewell address, his sermon, literally said, hey, beware of the disbelievers tampering with the unbelievers. Beware of the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar. I showed it many a times. And so when I look at this and I'm saying, whoa, if the calendar didn't come about until 7 years after his death, and he gives that statement, then that means his way of keeping time was the original time. I've never, nobody have the common sense enough to say, wait a minute, if we're practicing differently than the Prophet did, this is not the same thing that the Prophet practiced. And you can't justify that. It's either correct or it's incorrect, period. And Ramadan is incorrect. So I should have the space to be able to say that. So Mr. or Mrs. Saved by Grace Thankful, come on, mic up. Mic up. I yearn for it. Please. All right. I think I saw somebody had a question about 144 years. I don't know who that was, but I can address that real quick. Let me bring that slide up. All right. Okay. So from the year 765. Okay. What is 765? Calculator plus 144. It equals 909. 909 is the year that the Fatimid dynasty came on the scene. 909. Okay. So you do not see the lineage of these imams until 909, the Fatimid dynasty pop on the scene. So they spent 144 years, because remember, Muhammad ibn Ismail in 765, when his grandfather Jafar al-Sadiq, the sixth imam, died, he got ghost. He got low. See, this is why I gotta say, you gotta watch the brilliance of Imam Jafar al-Sadiq. Because why didn't Muhammad ibn Ismail, why didn't he just go with his uncle Musa? See, on the right-hand side, let me blow that up. Number 7, Musa, Imam Musa Kazim, he is the uncle of Muhammad ibn Ishmael, because Musa is the younger brother of Ishmael. So Muhammad, son of Ishmael, Muhammad, son of Ishmael, why didn't he just go under the banner of the 12ers and just roll under his uncle? Them guys got ghosts. So the family tree branches off and had to create another part of the mission. See, this is the original Rothschild type of blueprint, or Rockefeller rather. I need one of my sons to go to Paris, another one go here, another one y'all go here, and this is how we gonna do this. You understand what I'm saying? Here's the legend. When we look at Caliph Mansur in 754, the legend is he sent in his governor to go look at the will of Jafar al-Sadiq to find out who the son and beneficiary and the next heir was going to be. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq put Mansour himself and the governor in it. The governor said, I want you to go kill whoever is in his will, because in his will, that's going to give birth. That's going to be the next person that's going to be in charge. Kill that person in the will. This is the legend. The governor comes back. Mansour's like, did you do it? He said, no. Why didn't you kill him? Why didn't you kill the people? Because he has you as a beneficiary in the will and has me as a beneficiary in the will. This is the legend. I am telling you, the prophet's family, everybody on the right-hand side, besides the infamous Mahdi who say they disappeared, all of them were killed by the enemies of the prophet's family. Every single one. I showed a slideshow before, though. They will spend an average of 20-something years with their fathers before they die. There were some anomalies where one was only 6 years old when his father died and stuff like that. But the overall average was like they were spending 2 decades with their fathers before their fathers died. That's 20 years of knowledge, of an inner hidden teaching that was being passed down and passed down and passed down and passed down. And once again, once we go inside of it, it says, the black woman is going to help give birth. They're going to help us. The black people going to help us. Same black people who the prophet names in the masjid, seeing them. Go ahead, Africans. Go ahead, my supporters. Y'all got our back. Yes? Yes? All right, man. Okay. All right. So man, who was that? What was my person name? They really ain't gonna come up. Oh, Saved by Graceful, man. You hurt my feelings. I thought I was about to be in for, man. I thought we was about to go into a round 3 or something. All right. So everything is everything had that question of 144 years. So that's what that was. Okay. All right. Saved by Graceful. Saved by Graceful. You ain't here no more. I said I was gonna open up the line. All right, man. Well, we'll get out of here, man. If you ain't in the Patreon, join us. We'd love to have you over. I'm more those of you that's in the Islam, man. If you got time, like if you really got time, man, you should rock with us on Sundays and Tuesdays. If you got time. If you ain't got time, I understand. Right? I understand. Okay. But yeah, definitely hit us up though. The Patreon is where we at. Again, salute to everybody. If you can make the who have done the Cash App, if you can, the Cash App is let me put it up for you real quick so you can know what it is. The Cash App is here. Okay, Golden Heart Love CTR. We appreciate your help. It helps us take care of this place and get this place going. Again, you can go to goldenheartlovecenter.com. It take you to the site, and you can stay up to date and see the blogs and the videos and stuff that's going on. And more stuff is coming very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. Okay. All right, man. So I hope y'all enjoy. If you didn't, please click the like button. Don't cost you nothing. Excuse me. Hit that like button. Subscribe, share with a friend, and I will see you on the next one. This is a excellent book to have. Again, it talks about recognizing the true imam and the spiritual qualities, and then it obviously goes into the some history of Islam and how we should be in line. Like, come on. And you look, this is how ironic this is. Remember, because I showed y'all a slide, the Aga Khan, right? And then it's in front of me. Again, this is the Institute of Ismaili Studies. But my youngest son name is Ismail. And just like the woman, I didn't have nothing to do with it. Just like the woman being aunt, my youngest, I had nothing to do with their name. Says automatically that I guess they was gonna take my last name. I had nothing to do with their first name. I mean, wasn't even a thought. I swear to you, I wasn't consulted. Hey, what do you think about the name? It wasn't even a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad, because what I come to observe, and the Quran says this: some of you are but tests and trials for others. Right? I come to find out that my BM, as we call it now, is a great teacher of mine, for real, for real. An agitating teacher, I would say, if all in all honesty. But I've noticed that certain things that have been made in hindsight, there be some things, little clues. When I get there and I look back, it was already there. You know what I mean? Like, oh snap, that's oh really? Oh. So watch how the beautiful, beautiful, magnificent Jalil. Okay. Watch how Al Jalil, the majestic one, brings people into your lives. Watch and really understand the lesson that's there, because it's a beautiful lesson that's there. Okay. All right. I'm out of here. We're gonna get out of here with the Night of Power. I got something to show y'all on the Patreon. We are entering in a very, very spiritual time throughout the cosmos. The galactic Hajj, as I call it, and I can show you what Hajj is all about from the Quran, if you really understand Quran. Okay, we're about to enter that period, so we're going to end this with the beautiful Night of Power, one of my favorite surahs. Okay, all right, peace.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر